Very few countries in the world lost more people to coronavirus than New York did, and no states lost more in the United States. How exactly did that happen? It's a question that needs a serious answer. Many people died. Finding out seems of no interest whatsoever to the press. They'd rather shame people for visiting the beach. Erin Marie Nurse is a nurse. She spent almost a month working in New York's Elmhurst Hospital. That was the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in the state. She was so shocked by what she saw that she began to collect undercover footage of what was happening around her.
This patient is in with like a non-COVID. I don't understand why they're doing that.
I know. There's 4 patients in a row here non-COVID. And this is supposed to be the COVID.
Yeah.
Because 7th floor, they've shut it down.
That's right. I'm confused.
And then they're going to have non-COVIDs there.
Yeah.
This is going to be the only COVID, so they shouldn't put any non-COVIDs here.
Well, that's what they've been doing. The guy over in 29, I had him upstairs because I was on CCU before it.
Yeah.
And he came in with a stroke.
I know, that's what 26-1 was, a stroke.
And no COVID, and now he's got COVID, and he's on a vent.
Well, it's because we gave it to him here.
Erin Olszewski is the author of the forthcoming book, The Undercover Epicenter Nurse. She joins us tonight. Erin, thanks so much for coming on. Thank you for doing this. The insides of hospitals
thank you for having me.
So tell us what we just saw. Explain the video we played, if you would.
Well, this was a pretty common occurrence, and the video shows COVID and non-COVID being housed in the same floor, sometimes in the same rooms, which is ultimately creating, hospital-acquired infections of COVID. It's nosocomial infections. So, people will be admitted without COVID, and they will end up getting COVID. Sometimes they'll be awaiting their tests, which would take anywhere from 5 to 10 days to see if they had COVID and be admitted to these floors while they waited.
That is shocking, and I'm just so glad that you got video of it. I mean, this was happening at the same time. The rest of us weren't allowed to go outside for fears that we would spread the coronavirus to one another. How could this happen in a hospital where people have weakened immune systems?
I like those answers. I've been asking them, and nobody seems to really have those answers. I don't know who the authority is. That's what I'm always referred to. Part of this, I think, came from Governor Cuomo's executive order that he did on March 23rd, 2020, removing essentially all liability from all medical professionals, banning the hydroxychloroquine, not allowing family into these, hospitals in order to advocate for their patients. So there's a lot of different things that happened that really created this problem.
It's so interesting that you mentioned not allowing family in to advocate for their relatives. That was a factor in this, it sounds like.
It's a huge factor, and that's what I'm having a really hard time with, because nurses, we're supposed to be reporting, anything that we see unethical. It's part of our job. And
yes.
Without family in the rooms, we are the patient's eyes, ears, and everything. We have to make sure that the patients are being treated properly. Anybody and any nurse or anyone that would question anything would be sent home. I was one of them, and nobody ever wanted any of this out. And it's all hearsay if you don't have proof. So I needed to get the proof. So because it is so absolutely unbelievable that without it, people couldn't even fathom this.
I think this is a scandal. I don't use that word lightly. You were sent home for complaining about a policy of putting COVID patients with people who weren't infected. That's shocking.
Correct. For asking questions, they would tell us that, be good, behave, don't ask any of these questions, or you're going to be sent home. And I have a recording of that as well. I was there for just under a month. So a lot of this is all well documented.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if it wasn't, no one would believe you. So good for you. And thank you for coming on tonight, Erin. Congrats on the book.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Tucker.
Of course.
Appreciate it.